I will be covering all major money making methods in Wynncraft and calculate how many emeralds you make from each of them so that you can make your bank look like this. Or perhaps you prefer this. First up, we've got Forgery Grinding for these elusive mythics. It'll take you about 51 rounds on average to snag one of these beauties. This means you'll need about 30 hours on average to get a mythic, assuming that each run takes a little under 40 minutes. The average non-elite mythic right now is around 4.6 stacks, which means you'll make around 9 LE per hour from the mythics you get. Next, we've got grinding some valuable Dernic materials with bombs. These babies go for roughly 70 emeralds per piece for tier 1 materials, 7 emerald blocks for tier 2, and 1.5 LE for tier 3s. For each tool you use, you get on average 256 tier 1s, 28 tier 2s, and 2.88 tier 3s, which means 11.7 LE per tool. You can go through about 3.5 tools per hour, netting you about 41 LE per hour. The downside? You'll need to shell out for professional speed bombs, which cost around $7 US per hour if you buy the biggest bomb bundles at no sale. And at that point, you might as well buy silver bull shares and sell them if you don't piggyback off of others or grind without speed, which makes this half as effective. You could also grind some other materials, especially for those where there aren't many on the market, and you should be able to sell for at least 150 emeralds each. If your gathering is high level and you can one-tap the nodes, you can probably get at least 30 per minute, which would make you around 60 LE per hour. Keep in mind that this is heavily market dependent. But don't click off this video just yet, because there are many more money making methods that overthrow this later on in the video. For an option where you don't need any real life money, you can try your hands at the nameless anomaly raid. Each one nets you an average of 2.5 LE. The time it takes you can vary significantly depending on your party's gear and skill. If you're in a top-notch party, you can finish the raid in 6 minutes, earning you about 25 LE per hour if you keep on entering directly after each run. A less skilled group, on the other hand, can take up to 15 minutes, netting you around 10 LE per hour. The biggest upside of this is that it's one of the most fun money-making method, as it's a nice challenge, and you also get some useful tomes to make your character stronger. Seavale reef grinding will get you about 5 LE per hour, putting it in the last place. Quests are similar in effectiveness, with some yielding more emeralds than others. It's tough to estimate their overall effectiveness, but the quests on the screen right now are worth doing, as they give a bunch of emeralds. We will place it in a shared last place with Seavale reef, even though it's probably a little bit more effective if you're doing the right quest. And it is an alright money making method to get your first stack of LE while experiencing the amazing stories of Wynncraft. And if you don't like reading, you can always install the Voices of Wynn mod that brings life to the NPCs by adding voice acting. Another quite unique money making method is horse training. For this, you buy a 140 white horse for around 30 LE, and after leveling it to max level, which takes around 7 hours of straight running, you can usually sell it for 40 LE more. So with this, you get 5.7 LE per hour, which at least makes it more effective than Seavale reef grinding. Our 6th money making method is loot running. With loot quality, loot bonus, and a good loot run set, you can earn quite a few emeralds from getting mythics and selling them. If you want the most money on average, sell them unidentified. How much you get per hour depends on a lot of stuff, such as your speed, chest loot amount, area, and class. No Cats No Life has done some great calculations for this. If you go ultimate triad mode and use mage, warrior, and archer in the best places for each of them, according to these calculations, you should be able to get about 53 LE per hour. This is considering that you get quite good walls and not taking chest cooldown into consideration. Now let's talk about mythic mob grinding. From my experience and from everyone that I have asked, people usually get a drop somewhere between 20 to 60 totems. Let's take the middle number of this, which is 40 totems per drop. Considering this, with double loot bombs, you'll be swimming in mythics in no time, as this averages out to 1 mythic every 1.6 hours. Of course, not all mythics are created equally, considering that your classes mythics and boots being more common. So let's be a bit aggressive here and cut the average value down by half to 2.3 stacks. That's still a whooping 91 LE per hour, but this isn't everything. To do mythic grinding, you usually want to use consumables to increase your loot bonus and loot quality. So let's subtract 10 LE of that for those, and we end up with around 80 LE per hour. The hardest thing with this is finding a good spot, as most are secret. You could always try looking around in caves to find a place with a lot of box drops, or maybe you could go to an extreme and level an alt account to max level. Find a guild where you know someone which is mythic also in a guild application using AI to text and then stalk them using Wynncraft map to find their location. Which I, of course, would never do, because I am way too busy. Anyways, maybe I will share a spot in the future, so stay subscribed so you don't miss that. Not many money making methods remain, but I promise you don't want to miss the last, as it can even surpass mythic grinding in effectiveness. But wait, there's more before that. Stealing grinding, where you are like a sneaky ninja, swiping emeralds straight from the mobs. It's quick, consistent, and oh so satisfying. With my secret spot, you can make a sweet 24 LE per hour without totems, and up to 30 LE per hour with them. That's some serious loot for your pockets, considering it does not depend on luck at all, and directly gives you the emeralds instead of items that you need to wait to sell. What is the secret spot? It is the Olux Slime Cave. Chaos Dragon made a video about one part of the cave using a different method to get up to 10 LE per hour. To correctly use the spot with stealing, you will preferably want to get your stealing to 100%. Anything above that does not improve your stealing. Use silent ballet, crafted stealing accessories, queen's headpiece, cardiac arrest for poison, quite high poison, seems to be quite effective, Amouche walkers, and now, if you're above 100% stealing, get dark shrouds for walk speed. If you're under 100%, use Gemini. Get your skill tree to look like this, and now to do the method, try having your 3 totems spread out throughout the cave, so you're grinding at 3 places at the same time, and spam aura as much as you can. I recommend using the Windtill's macro feature and just spam clicking that button. And lastly, quickly sell your ingredient pouch if it fills up, and if you want to make it even more effective, you can switch to this build to get a lot more loot bonus, which will allow you to empty your pouch faster and earn up to 30 LE per hour with totems in a combination of the stealing emeralds and ingredient pouch items. A different spot for stealing is this crown shed spot, where you can sit on a horse using your galloping spurs. I got around 12 LE per hour there. Just don't you dare use macros to AFK grind there, or the moderation team will come after you. Now let's talk about ingredient grinding. The art of turning ingredients into cold, hard emeralds. It's like being a master chef, cooking up a storm of profits. With the right setup, including loot bonus, charms, tomes, crafteds, and a discoverer, you can skyrocket your loot bonus to a whopping 600%. Or even more, especially if you decide to use consumables. There's also no point to have loot quality over loot bonus if you're grinding for any lower level ingredient. But if you grind for something higher leveled, consider swapping your pants and boots to something that has loot quality, as there's always a possibility for mythics. But how much do you actually make from ingredient grinding? Ingredient grinding depends on you either getting a bulk of low tier ingredients to sell for quite cheap, or a few rare ones to sell for a lot. Both can be similarly profitable. Depending on where you're farming and where, you could be making anywhere from 30 LE to a jaw-dropping 90 LE per hour. I've even hit the jackpot with 3 stacks of LE for each hour I was grinding during some time when the prices of one ingredient were as high as the Sky Islands. Finding the perfect ingredient spot is like solving a puzzle. So how do you find one? My recommendation is checking the market, hit up the wiki, and scout for those mob spawning hotspots. Some spots can be crazy hard to find and require totems to even spawn any mobs at all, while others are easier and are literally stated on the wiki. For example, I recently struck gold with dried gills, making me over a stack of LE per hour from it by simply toteming in the middle of this cave, giving me between 10 to 12 dried gills per totem with double loot. Considering that each of these sells for 30 emerald blocks, I simply found a method that made me a stack of LE per hour. Farming something like lucky spider eggs should yield you even more emeralds, as they are even easier to get. I got 83 from 4 totems, which I sold for 29 LE, which means I get 87 LE per hour from grinding these. However, I do know that you can make even more LE than that per hour if you find a great spot. There's some way to grind for everything. It might just be really hard to find. And if you want to make things even easier, check out this video about the Wynncraft mod, which has tons of handy tools and features. Lastly, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss future videos where I'll be sharing some more ingredient spots and perhaps some mythic spots as well. Until then, happy hunting and may the loot be ever in your favor.